Okay, so last week you saw her starting to come together as one piece. I still had a lot of body work left to do. I've got all the body work done and actually got the paint on it. Another mistake that I made was using the Vaseline to mask with. Terrible idea. I wasn't sure it was going to be a great idea, but after I did it, I know it's a terrible idea now. So don't use Vaseline. What it is I couldn't get it off of the plastic good enough, and it made my paint spread out. And what happened was the paint over the translucent parts did not give a good clean glow. So what I'm doing now is I'm going through the arduous task of having to get all the paint scraped off of those translucent areas, and I'm just going to let the bluish tinted plastic do the job for me and just have to take my licks and learn my lesson. I've got the decals on, the ones that I'm going to put on. I didn't put any of the Aztecing on it. I didn't like that. I tried my hand at some battle damage, doing some black streaks and marks like from Fraser burns and that kind of thing. I built the base out of a project box from Radio Shack. And if I turn it around here, what I did was in the project box, I drilled, I laid my strip LEDs and marked all the holes on the inside to line up with each LED. And then I just super glued the LEDs to the bottom to shine through the holes. And what it does is uplight the ship. And I'll show you that in a minute. All my LEDs are working except for the main strobe on the top in the center. I had a wiring connection come loose on me, and I could not get it out, and I was not going to break the model apart to get it. So that's another lesson I learned. Make sure that your connections are good. I actually soldered all my connections, as you saw in the last video, but I didn't pay good enough attention to the tiny wire that came on the pre-wired circuit for the flasher. The wire was so tiny that when I stripped it, what I'd done is I compromised the integrity of the wire, so it broke loose. So anyway, just be careful with that. The mounting that I have here is just a piece of aluminum hollow tubing from the hobby store. I used hot glue on it. I will not do that on my big one. It was the only thing I could get to work pretty well. I'll actually drill a hole in the bottom of the craft and put a threaded rod with a nut and all that good stuff, and I'll make a really secure mounting for that one. This one's secure, but I just don't like it. But anyway, like I said, the biggest mistake was using the Vaseline. Don't use the Vaseline. And when I turn the lights out and show you the model lit up, you'll see what I'm talking about. If I turn it back around, I tried some colors that I'd wanted to try. I used copper up here on the phaser banks. I know that's not really what the color should be, but I wanted to try it. Looks pretty neat. I'll show you that. And pretty much all I got to do is get the paint scraped off of the engines, get it cleaned up looking, get it looking better, touch up the gray a little bit here and there. And I'm going to go ahead and put all the windows in. I haven't done that yet. I tried a few. It worked out really well. And when I put the flat finish over the whole thing to protect the decals and flatten everything out, I think it'll take that gloss away from the windows. And I'll show you a close-up of that, of what that looks like with the... It leaves a little bit of a glossy residue around the windows when I put them in. So I'm hoping that the flat finish will take that out. So I'll go ahead and show you what it looks like. I'll give you these details real quick, and then I'll show you it all lit up. Okay, there's one of the port strobes. I think those turned out really good. And what I did is a flashing circuit for the port strobes was I went to our local AutoZone, and I bought one of those little strobe flashing kits that you use that They're like hazard lights or whatever. They're fancy little strobes. I basically use that as a controller. Tied that into my bank of resistors, and I'm using it basically to flash the 12 volts on and off to make the strobes flash. Okay, on this side you can see the green, the starboard LED. And right there you can see that shiny portion around each window. That's what I was talking about. And I think the flat paint will take care of that. It may not. That'll be another lesson learned if it doesn't. And down here you can see the red in this engine, how bad it looks. That was because of the Vaseline causing the problem. But I think the engines glow pretty decent without the paint, so we're just going to have to deal with it. I'll know better next time. Turn it around here and show you some of the decaling. You can see this side a little bit there, some of the decals. And of course on top. And there's the copper paint I was talking about I wanted to try. I think it looks really cool. I can probably come up with some good uses for that. And then in the base you can see the LEDs I was talking about. And there's the hot glue. It looks really sloppy. I don't like that, so I'll make sure I don't use that on the next one. And you can see I'm in the process of scraping the paint off of the parts that are supposed to be translucent. And the deflector dish actually turned out pretty good. She looks pretty decent. But anyway, let me turn the lights off and I'll show you. Oh yeah, and I wanted to show you the battle damage there. So, okay, let me turn the lights off and I'll show you that. Okay, this is her with the lights turned off. You can see without the windows in, you get really hot spots, really bad. So I'm hoping that's gonna, when I get the windows in there, that's gonna tame all that down. All right, let me, I'll show you from the front. And like I said, I think the deflector dish turned out really good. I hate that the whole thing didn't turn out that way. But, you know, hey, that's how it is, so. It's a learning thing, and that's just what I'm going to have to do. And for some reason the white balance is not correct now on the camera, and actually both LEDs are showing flashing red, but the starboard is actually green and the port is actually red. So anyway, now let me show you how bad that paint turned out. It was just horrible. Let me turn the gain up a little bit there. See, that's what I was talking about, the unevenness of the paint. It's just awful. And I really think most of that was because of the Vaseline. I think had I left it bare and maybe primed it with some clear primer and then put my paint on, I think I would have had a lot less problem. Although the front of the nacelles was painted bare plastic and just sprayed on and never had any Vaseline on it, and it covered and it glows pretty good. So like I said, I think my whole problem was the Vaseline. So that's where we're at right now. That's the update. On the next one, hopefully I'm gonna have all of the paint off of the engines, have everything cleaned up, have the windows on it. I'll have my base cleaned up, and hopefully she'll be done and looking good. So that's where we're at now. Thanks for watching, guys.